Amber, what do you have for us today?
All right, so I'm going to start by giving a quote. We'll see if you guys can figure out what I'm talking about today. It's pretty straightforward. So, me, a princess? Shut up! Okay.
Oh, love it so much.
So, if that quote didn't already give it away, today I'll be talking about the movie The Princess Diaries. If you're a millennial girly like Kylie and I, then this movie is a class 2000s staple, which means it obviously deserves a spot on the pod. So, let's get into it. So, The Princess Diaries made its debut on the big screen on August 3rd, 2001. The movie did exceptionally well, grossing $22,862,269 in the opening weekend and $165,334,774. I don't know why that was hard to say there. In the worldwide box office. So it did very well.
Wow.
165 million worldwide. And so the movie screenplay was written by Gina Wendkos, but was also loosely based on Meg Cabot's book, also titled The Princess Diaries. And Cabot's agent actually pursued Deborah Chase, one of the co-producers of the movie, about the idea of adapting the book to film. And Deborah Chase
Oh,
read the book.
wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So it wasn't the opposite way. It was actually the book writer was or the book writer and their agent was actually pursuing the book to film, which I feel is the opposite of what kind of happens now. Like, I don't feel like that happens as often. Usually people
Yeah.
are seeking out the book, like, author. Yeah, and Deborah Chase, she read the book and she loved it so much that she convinced Disney to adapt the book to a feature-length production. So Deborah Chase had some pull in Disney. The film was greenlit by Disney, who agreed to co-produce with, wait for it, guys, Whitney Houston and Brown House Productions.
Shut up. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so she co-produced, and fun fact, when I was digging around, I found out that she also had a hand with her production company producing the Brandy starring Cinderella remake. And
Oh, she was the fairy godmother, so that makes sense.
oh, you're right. Oh my god, duh. Um, um and another cult classic, The Cheetah Girls.
I think I knew that one.
I think you did. I think you told me about that. So go off, Queen. So Deborah Chase helped develop the script with the help of screenwriter Gina Wendkos. Cabot didn't have much of a hand in writing the film's script, but she did work closely with Chase to make sure that the story was translating well from page to screen. And then Gary Marshall was brought on to direct the film, and another producer, Mario Iskovich, was also brought on to produce alongside Whitney Houston and Deborah Chase.
I'm sorry,
And
say his name one more time.
who, Gary Marshall or Mario Iskovich?
Oh, with a V. I thought it was a B.
Oh, Iskovich. It's me. I'm probably saying it weird. I need some water. Let me get some water.
Okay.
So I took a little quote from Wikipedia. Shout out Wikipedia. They're one of my sources that obviously you can't do anything without Wikipedia, I feel. And
For real.
they said that The Princess Diaries was optioned to challenge the belief that children were losing interest in live-action films targeted towards girls. And Marshall was hired specifically to make a G-rated film edgy and crazy and maybe something adults will also like. So I thought that was interesting.
I would say they hit the nail on the head with that one.
Right? Yeah, I think they did a great job. So, while adapting the main points, the movie differs slightly from the book, mainly by it being set in San Francisco versus New York, like in Cabot's book. So, the moving setting change was actually a shout out to Gary Marshall's granddaughters as they grew up in San Francisco. So, I thought that was sweet.
Oh.
Yeah. And the movie was actually originally set to be called The Princess of Tribeca, which, yuck, I don't like that. I'm glad they changed it. I don't feel like that rolls off the tongue as well. You know what I mean?
That's very boring.
Yeah, it sounds stuck up. It doesn't sound like a fun, girly movie that I would want to watch. So I'm glad that they didn't stick with something so rigid. and it sounds like it's coming from a point of view of somebody like writing it out. And I think that, if I recall, because I did read these books back in the day, I think that was kind of the style of the book. So the adaptation kind of feels the same way. So I think they did a good job with that adaptation. Little tidbit there.
100%.
So for the casting, we have Anne Hathaway. She was cast as the lead. Mia, and that was actually after Juliette Lewis, who the part was originally written for, turned down the role. And Anne Hathaway was actually 18 at the time, and this was her first major role in a movie. She was actually cast during a 26-hour layover to LA on her way to New Zealand to film a different movie. That was actually going to be her breakout movie. It ended up being The Princess Diaries.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so another little fun fact that I found when I was researching is that a lot of young actresses were considered for this role, even one of them being a young Christy Carlson Romano.
I wasn't going to bring her up, but
yeah, so
I know the story.
Yeah, and she unfortunately was unable to go audition, as her schedule with Even Stevens was just too busy at the time. Did she recently talk about this in her podcast? I haven't listened.
No, she did. This was before she got into the podcasting. She had like this series where she was doing like tell-alls while she's walking in the woods, and it was like a lot of name dropping and stuff, and people are starting to come out against her, so I'll just speak freely on this. But she spoke about it and pretty much said that the only reason Anne Hathaway got the role was because she missed her opportunity to go audition.
I don't love that. I don't love that for her.
Yeah, Katy Perry also stole her record deal she was definitely going to get.
Okay.
These were the stories she was telling, so.
I mean, I thought it was going to be like actual tea, like, because I was like, when you said it, when she was like name dropping, I was like, ooh, I want to listen. But now, I couldn't even care less.
No, she does it for clickbait. That's all she does it for.
Well, yeah, I noticed that too. And low-key, I feel the same way right now about Annalise Vanderpool.
Mm-hmm.
Because she hasn't given anything.
I'm really sad about that one because I really liked her, but
me too.
Yeah. Same story.
It's sad because I'm sure they actually have some stuff that really did happen to them, but they aren't articulating it correctly, and it's losing them people and followers because they're not articulating the right way.
Right.
So, that sucks.
Anyway, back to your story.
So, the movie was not only Anne Hathaway's first big movie role, but it was also a chance to introduce Julie Andrews as a actress to a new generation of fans. So Julie Andrews was cast as Queen Clarice after she had been semi-retired in acting for some time at this point. So Andrews hadn't been in a featured film for 15 years prior, and The Princess Diaries, right? 15 years. And The Princess Diaries was also her first film with Disney since Mary Poppins in 1964, which is crazy. And just to piggyback one more fact off of that, because I saw something else, the film lot that they actually filmed Princess Diaries on was the same lot that they filmed Mary Poppins on. It was, I think, lot 2.
And, how magical!
Yeah, and they actually deemed it Julie Andrews, like, lot. It's named after her now.
Aww. Aww.
So I thought that was sweet, and I love her. So, like, a true queen. So next we have Heather Matarazzo. I'm probably butchering that, but that's fine. Sorry. She was cast as Mia's best friend, Lily Moscovitz, after casting director Marsha Ross introduced Gary and Heather and insisted that Heather was different than other actresses. So I thought that was interesting. They said she was quirky, she was really fun, she was easy to be around and easy to work with, and her and Heather and Gary really just jived together. So I thought that was cool.
I could see her being that way.
Totally. She seems so fun. I've seen interviews of her and I've seen her TikToks and stuff. She's fun. I know she had like I think a tough time with acting because I think she tried to break out, if I remember correctly.
Probably. I feel like most actors do.
Yeah, especially the ones that are kind of secondary to the main role. I feel like they have a harder time getting cast into anything else afterwards. It's kind of sad. And then next we have Hector Elizondo. Wow, I hate this for me. Um, Elizondo. And he was cast as Joe, Mia's limo driver, and Clarice's head of security. And then fun fact about him also is Hector is known for appearing in all 18 of Gary Marshall's films that he directed. So if you're looking for something fun to do, go watch all the 18 films and try to see if you can spot Hector Elizondo.
He was in something that I was watching, and it had somebody from this movie in it as well. I can't
Okay.
remember what the movie was or who the other person was, but I remember thinking, he looks so familiar. Who is he? So I IMDb'd him. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And then
Oh,
I realized he was in the same movie as this person.
that's so funny. I know I've seen him in something else, so I guess whatever I saw must have been a Gary Marshall film, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then there were so many great actors and actresses in this movie, but just to round out with one more, because I couldn't not talk about her, it was Mandy Moore. She was cast as Lana, Mia's school rival, and this was actually Mandy Moore's first credited role in a movie. She was 16 at the time when she was cast. Um, and she claimed she had no idea what she was doing, but she appreciated that most of the cast was around her same age. And that may seem like a general thing to say, but I think if you think about it, like casting is so skewed nowadays. Like people who look younger could be 40. You've got the guy who played Jackson in Hannah Montana. I think his name was Jason Earls. He was like in his late
Yeah.
30s when they were like 16. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's just one of those kind of things. So I went and I did some movie review sleuthing, and I will say it was interesting for this to be such a, well-known worldwide film. There were not that many like actual like reviews on it. Um
Hmm.
like serious ones, I should say. There are a bunch of people, spoofing off here and there. I would say there's about 3 serious like companies that did reviews, and then the rest are all parent to parent movie reviews to help make sure that we just don't traumatize the current youth basically.
Yeah, but I don't think we were on it the way we are now, which is very toxic, by the way, but everyone just feels like they have to put their opinion online. I
Yeah.
think the internet was more of a tool and a resource to research things and play games.
You're right, because honestly, the reviews I was finding, it's funny, the years they were reviewing were like 2012, 2011 was when they were putting these reviews in. So I was like, okay, this doesn't really count. I found one from 2004, and we'll get into it. But so I'll start with the most well-known review, like critic website, I would say Rotten Tomatoes. It gave the movie
Hmm.
an overall 49% on the tomato meter, whatever that means. um, but a 68% overall audience score. And the critic consensus was that it's a charming, if familiar, makeover movie for young teenage girls. And so I pulled a couple reviews, and the first one is from 2012 in July, and they gave the movie a 4 out of 5 stars, and they said, Anne Hathaway's breakout role. The movie has everything. Ugly duckling syndrome, a queen for a grandmother, a mother dating her teacher, obnoxious friends, and Mandy Moore as the ice princess. It's funny and romantic, filmed in San Francisco. I loved it. Julie Andrews' comeback to the screen brought charm and elegance. Andrews still has what it takes to make it a hit time after time. So that one was nice. And then this one
Yeah.
right after it, they gave a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and it was in 2012 as well. Or was the other one? Yeah, they were both in 2012, so it was just a few days prior. And this one said, I wish Mia Thermopolis wasn't Anne Hathaway. She did great acting and all, but a prettier actor perhaps. And I was like, did we need to have that opinion?
And I feel like she did great in that movie. Um,
Yeah, no, I have 2
I wouldn't
exceptions.
have Mia be casted as anybody but Anne Hathaway.
I don't know who else could have done it. Like, I don't see anybody else being it. I think because it was her first role, they were able to mold her so perfectly into like what they needed her to be, and her quirkiness kind of fell into that role. I think that was what gave her, You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she dedicated, like, when she's like, "Shut up!" Like, it's full on acting.
Yeah. So I found that interesting. And then IMDb also, they gave the movie an overall rating of 6.4 out of 10. And this was 2005. So there is a review from August 18th, 2005. They rated the movie 10 out of 10. And they said, I loved this movie. And although it may have been slightly cliche, the dialogue was quite smart and it was quite a funny movie. Quite. They must be British. Um, I think that if you expect the movie to be Oscar worthy, it'll obviously fall short. But as it only attempts to be a sweet story about a misfit 15-year-old turned princess, it completely lives up to its potential. I think Julie Andrews completely made the movie, and that Anne Hathaway also did an excellent job. The movie is great for people of all ages because it has a simplistic plot, yet it has one great one-liners and great repertoire. It says repartee between the character of the queen and the princess Mia. I also think that the minor characters are great, and because they provide even they and what the did this person write? I also think that the minor characters are great because they provide even more comic relief. Um, I think that one is honestly the most genuine one out of all the reviews I found, and I say that just because it's the most current to when the movie came out. It's only 4 years after. It literally basically 4 years to a T, August of 2005. So I feel like this is kind of how people were feeling around this time, especially women, because it seems like this is a woman, like a girl or a woman review.
Mhm.
And then, so another another review rating company was called Metacritic, and they gave the movie an overall 7.9 out of 10. And I found a 3 out of 10 rating that someone gave it in 2012. And from what I got, it seems like it's a male point of view, which I think they just wanted to have their opinion on the internet. Because it
Mhm.
just says a recycled plot along with a string of other cliches make for a film that's a one-trick pony. Princess Diaries is only here to make preteen girls squeal, and that's all it does. That's all it's supposed to do.
Well, like, yes, it does that. I wouldn't even say squill. I think
Yeah.
it's a great film for all women. I think it's got a strong sense of femininity, and
Hmm.
I first watched that movie. I remember we rented it from Blockbuster. I was in 5th grade and I had just had surgery, minor
Hmm.
surgery, but I had to go home and rest. So we rented that and I watched it. And I feel like that it's like a comfort movie now. So if I were sick and I would want to watch it, it would make me feel girly and like, I don't know, just comforted and girly. It's a very feminine movie, no matter what age you are.
Yeah, and it's also there's this power behind it, right? Because you see her kind of
Hmm.
overcome a lot of these adversities that she had in her life. So it really makes you feel it's a personable movie, right? You can see her
Right.
overcoming things that she truly was afraid of. And it's like, well, if she can do it, why can't I? So,
Yeah, it's very relatable, no no matter what age you are. I feel like you can relate to her situation.
yeah, exactly. Um, and so I also just to close out the reviews, just for funsies, I wanted to give one of the parent to parent review scores. It's from a website called Common Sense, and they gave the movie 5 out of 5. Somebody said when I was 4, I watched this movie for the first time. So wow, 4.
Wow.
The movie was very cute, and Mia had the reaction of a wonderful 15-year-old when she's told she's a princess. My 2 daughters, 6 and 8, loved it. They felt it was really cute, and they loved King Fat Louie, which was the cat, for those who don't know. So I will say, though, after reading all the reviews, I am somewhat surprised that the overall consensus is like a 6.8 out of 10, like after you kind of average all of them together.
Yeah.
Um, because it seems like most people were rating the movie pretty high. I was getting 5 out of 5s, 10 out of 10s. So there must have just been some assholes who were rating it really, really low just to like drive that number down. And I think in
Yeah, oh,
later
yeah.
years,
There always is.
so annoying. Yeah. So shout out to the internet. We love that. And then I'm just going to give a quick, movie synopsis plot. We've all seen the movie, but I would say most of us have. So if you haven't, don't worry. I'll give you a quick little synopsis with, I don't think there's too many spoilers in here, but I mean, it's been since 2001. So if you haven't seen it, I'm so sorry. Maybe cut this part, pause, go watch, and then come back. So, so we meet Mia Thermopolis, played by Anne Hathaway. She is this super relatable, slightly awkward teenager living in San Francisco. Her mom, Helen, is a funky artist, and her best friend, Lily, is all about activism. Mia's life takes a wild turn when her estranged grandmother, Queen Clarice, played by the legendary Julie Andrews, shows up, and it turns out that Mia's dad was a prince, making her an heir to the throne of Genovia, a tiny European country. Say what? So now Grandma Clarice wants to turn Mia into the proper princess. Mia gets the whole Cinderella treatment with a glamorous makeover courtesy of Paolo, a stylist with a flair for the dramatics. Cue the iconic makeover scene. Mia's not exactly thrilled about trading in her Converse for glass slippers. As if high school wasn't complicated enough, Mia's dealing with major teenage stuff. She has a crush on Josh, shout out Erik von Detton, the popular guy, and her best friend's older brother, Michael, is also harboring some serious feelings for her. Talk about a love triangle. I feel so cheesy. And then there's Lana, the resident mean girl, played by the iconic Mandy Moore. And she's making Mia's life way more dramatic than a Shakespearean play. I'm sorry, I just laugh at myself sometimes.
I love that.
Mia's journey of self-discovery becomes this hilarious and heartwarming roller coaster full of royal etiquette lessons, awkward princess moments, and navigating the challenges of teenage romance. The climax hits when Mia has to make a tough choice between attending a fancy royal dinner and a casual beach party with her friends. It's a moment of truth, a defining decision that underscores the film's central theme of embracing who you truly are. In the grand finale, Mia decides to fully embrace her royal destiny. The Genovian Independence Day ball becomes the fairy tale setting where she's officially crowned as a princess. Her heartfelt speech about staying true to yourself is the cherry on top. The Princess Diaries is the perfect blend of comedy, romance, and the coming-of-age charm. It's not just about Mia becoming a princess, it's about finding your own voice and your own uniqueness.
Aw, love that.
Yeah, so that was the Princess Diaries. We'll throw the sources up on the show notes, but just a quick little rundown. I sourced shondaland.com, Wikipedia, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, thenumbers.com, Common Sense Media, and Metacritic.
Oh, thank you. I love that so much.